Hello everyone, I am currently on the run. From who, can't say, but I am in grave danger, so I need something quick and simple to discuss while I'm in this remote location. Surprisingly, I have never talked about the Nintendo Music app yet, and trust me, I will go way more in depth at a later date, when I'm not being punted down. But, so you can understand my perspective as a whole, I believe that Nintendo Music is really great. With like 10 asterisks on the end of that sentence. Like, yeah, there's a lot of ways it could improve, but I really enjoy it. And I really enjoy talking about the new game additions with the other people around me, which is why I'm here today. We'll be discussing all the additions to Nintendo Music in September of 2025. Starting with our first edition of the month on September 1st, we have Fire Emblem Awakening. Yeah, that's pretty good. No notes there. So usually if I don't have a ton to say about the soundtrack itself, I'll go into the psychology of Nintendo as a company. Oh, why'd they choose this soundtrack? And kind of update you on what else has happened throughout the Nintendo Music history. What happened previous months? What's gonna happen next? I don't know. So this is the third Fire Emblem series soundtrack on Nintendo Music. We had Fire Emblem on Game Boy Advance with the launch of the app, and you've got Fire Emblem Engage on the Nintendo Switch, which released sometime, it was somewhere in there. So logically, their next soundtrack would have been either Fire Emblem Three Houses or Fire Emblem Awakening. And while I prefer the former, I can't deny Fire Emblem Awakening has a great soundtrack as well. I jam, I bop, I like it, it's good. The battle themes are really intense. The lyrics are like, ooh, that's lyrics. What am I talking about? But yeah, it's a great choice. I think it was nice. It's not the longest we've had since a 3DS game. You know, we had Pilotwings Resort with the other Pilotwings games, and I might really, really like Pilotwings Resort, like a lot. Like a little too much, don't look into that. But Fire Emblem Awakening, good choice. I think it's a great way to start the month. On September 8th, we got Golden Sun: The Lost Age. This was a pretty funny coincidence, actually. Golden Sun: The Lost Age was added to Nintendo Music. A few days later, Nintendo announced a September 12 Nintendo Direct. And this, unfortunately, gave Golden Sun fans a lot of hope. They were like, oh my god, Golden Sun is being recognized? No way, maybe they're gonna announce a new game in the Nintendo Direct. I'm so sorry. It was literally just a coincidence. I'm so sorry. I do think this was a good choice, although it's not necessarily a great soundtrack. This is my opinion. This is the opinion part of it. What? There's opinions? What? I didn't know that! It kind of blends in for me a little too much. I was listening to Golden Sun, and I said, this is pretty good. And then I listened to Golden Sun: The Lost Age, and I was lost. Like, literally, I thought I was hearing the same songs again. Call it deja vu. Literally, some of the songs were the exact same. I thought I was going crazy. I wasn't. They were the same songs. But some of them that were new just sounded similar enough for me not really to care. And that's a little unfortunate, because, again, I liked some songs. I think overall it's good, but I didn't get too attached to it. It's also worth noting that I did not finish this game's soundtrack, and I have no idea how. I've been listening to it throughout the whole month, on and off, obviously, but, you know, I've listened to songs whenever I could, and I thought to myself, I think I have most of the soundtrack done, so I checked the app. I'm not even halfway done. I have no idea what took me so long. So now I'm maybe 3/4 of the way through, and you know, my opinion hasn't really changed. I still think it's good, but it's fine. But you know what is worth noting? This is the first Game Boy Advance game we have gotten in a hot minute. I'm talking a while. I'm talking February 9th. So yes, this soundtrack was absolutely necessary to fill in the gap between the 7 to 8 months of no Game Boy Advance games. But then it creates a new problem. 3 of the 3 Game Boy Advance games are all RPGs. We call that lack of variety. They could easily add soundtracks from other genres, like platformers with Metroid Fusion or puzzle games with Kururin, but they're likely not going to, and they're likely not going to for a while, because the Game Boy Advance has a smaller selection of mainline Mario and Zelda titles. Speaking of, Super Mario Galaxy 2 was added on September 15th. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the best game soundtracks of all time, so... An excellent choice, if you ask me. Not necessarily an exciting one, like, oh, of course they would add one of the best soundtracks of all time from one of their most praised games of all time in their soundtrack library. It makes all the sense. But who am I kidding? I was so excited to listen to Mario Galaxy 2 again. I haven't sat down and listened to the whole soundtrack in a while now, but it was an absolute delight to do so again. There's some weird little oddities like the first game soundtrack where, because they copied all the songs over from a soundtrack CD, because that was easiest for them to do, you get some weird inconsistencies, like the fade out times are different across multiple tracks, or some of the tracks are non-extendable for no reason, or you don't get the Wii menu jingle where Mario goes,
Super Mario Galaxy!
You know, it's unfortunate. But again, you're listening to one of the best game soundtracks of all time, so I think you can make that sacrifice. Here's a fun fact for you. This is the first Wii game soundtrack we've gotten since December 16, 2024, last year. That's not fun at all. What are we doing here? So ignoring that, this was released to correlate with the announcement of the Nintendo Switch versions of Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2 on Nintendo Switch. I already said that. Mario's 40th anniversary, Mario Galaxy 2 announcement, Mario Galaxy 2 soundtrack, all lines up, makes perfect sense. This kind of goes back to my issue of Mario and Zelda soundtracks being released very prominently by Nintendo. I mean, obviously, I just said it makes total sense, but that's because it's Mario's 40th anniversary, whatever is revealed, whatever, I just said it. Nintendo relies too heavily on Mario and Zelda soundtrack updates. I've already listened to all these soundtracks. They're really good, I will say, but every time they add a new one, Zelda Link to the Past, Super Mario World, Super Mario 64, I say, cool. That's a smart choice, that's a good addition, and that's kind of the extent of it. I'm not really excited, I'm not really thrilled. I'm like, whoa, no way. It's like, that makes total sense. Man, they really messed up by only including 18 soundtracks at the beginning of this app's life. Like, that's it. And it didn't even include some of their most iconic soundtracks, like Super Mario 64. That was added via an update. And when it was added, I said, cool. But if they just launched with a few more of those Mario and Zelda games that they keep pushing out now, we'd have less people now that are confused on why those soundtracks weren't already on the app. All that to tell you, the Mario Galaxy 2 soundtrack is phenomenal. Yeah! Yay! I'm glad it's... Yay! On September 18th, we got a special release for Donkey Kong Bananza. Huh? So if you're not in the know, Nintendo Music updates are usually weekly, every Monday. This was a Thursday. What were they doing? Turns out they were doing us a favor, because the music in Donkey Kong Bananza is really good. While this soundtrack also released because of the Nintendo Direct, like Super Mario Galaxy 2, the DLC for Donkey Kong Bananza launched immediately after the Direct showcase. So I'm not sure why they couldn't have just released the soundtrack the Friday that the Direct happened. Why wait till Thursday if you're promoting the DLC? Truly, I don't know. Like, it wasn't a timing thing. They were like, these are the tracks for Donkey Kong Bonanza's DLC. Go play the DLC. This launched as a special release like Kirby Air Riders did before it. And, whoa, we get 9 tracks. What? Oh, they shouldn't have. But that did make people a little upset. With these special releases, you only get a select few songs. You don't get the full soundtrack, you get a sample of the songs. So why haven't they made a dedicated Nintendo Switch 2 section on the app? Why is it only still Nintendo Switch games? I don't know. But here's my theory. I've got 2 things I think about when trying to answer this question. First of all, Nintendo's first-party lineup is not that big currently. Like, there is not a lot of games. In terms of ones that have currently released as of September the month, we have Mario Kart World, Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, Donkey Kong Bananza, Drag X Drive. That's it. No, seriously, if you're not counting Nintendo Switch 2 editions, you got 4 games that are directly made by Nintendo, like no outside involvement. Those are their games, they own them. And that's not a lot. I would love to do it if they released the soundtracks when the games came out. That would be heavenly. They aren't gonna do that, which makes me a little sad, but it'd be nice. But maybe they already thought of that. Maybe they thought, we don't have enough game soundtracks currently to put in its own section. But if we do this special release strategy, then once we publish that big Nintendo soundtrack, like perchance Mario Kart World, then we can add the Nintendo Switch 2 special releases alongside it, so then there's multiple games and it doesn't look as incomplete. I mean, if they do that, then it would mean those soundtracks would still be incomplete. They would still be the tracks that they added through the special releases, but it would look prettier from a UI design standpoint, and that's what I think is gonna happen. Or literally none of that is gonna happen because the Game Boy Advance launched with 1 soundtrack and the 3DS and Wii U launched with 0, so maybe they're waiting just to wait. I don't know. But that's why it's fun to speculate, and I want to get my predictions out there. We're moving on. Oh man, I'm really excited for the next soundtrack. September 21. Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Wait, September 21? That's a Sunday. That's never happened before. I've seen Nintendo miss a week or miss a Monday and then launch it on Tuesday or Wednesday or sometime later. We've never seen a track come early. And not only that, it wasn't even good. Okay, let me rephrase. Zelda 2 is pretty good, especially for NES standards, okay? As an NES game, it's pretty good. It's also a Zelda game, which I said they've been doing too much of. I'm not gonna lie, this kinda ruined my Monday. This is something I look forward to every Monday. I want to see the new Nintendo Music update. Whoa! But then Nintendo sucker punched me in the face and said, no, Sunday, Zelda 2. But I was initially excited. I said to myself, whoa, if they added something Sunday, maybe there's still hope for Monday to get another soundtrack. No. And then I was really sad. Truth be told, I was feeling all the emotions. I was sad, I was angry, mostly I was confused, and that's partly the reason why I'm discussing here in the first place, because what even happened this week? So much happened, and I'm so confused. Oh yeah, here's something weird. The temple theme from Zelda 2, you know, the one that got a Super Smash Bros. Melee stage called Temple, it's not called Temple. On Nintendo Music, it's called Palace Theme. Boy, what you talking about? That's called Temple. What? No. Little supplemental update. On September 25, we got the Autumn playlist. Cool. That's it. At least they have all the seasonal playlists now. Winter, spring, summer, and now autumn. Cool. I do find it exceptionally funny that 2 songs from Pilotwings Resort were included, not because they're related to any specific season, but because the screenshots that were taken arbitrarily from the game were orange. Next soundtrack! And our last soundtrack of the month, September 29th, we got Princess Peach Showtime. Why? That was the only thought that went through my mind as I saw that notification pop up. I said, why? What makes... Huh? I'm not feeling anything except confusion, really. Just trying to process why. Don't take this the wrong way. I think the soundtrack is really good. I like the orchestra. I like the different genres of music correlating to the different Princess Peach transformations and whatnot. I think it's nice. I do like it. But also I'm so confused. If I had to come up with reasons why... Well, I suppose Mario's 40th anniversary is still in play, so releasing to coincide with that. Although Princess Peach isn't like Mario, but Mario Princess Peach is Mario. Mario's a woman? My other reason would be they added Princess Peach Showtime to dethrone Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which was added the day after the launch of the app, to replace it as the most recent Nintendo Switch game on the app. But it's not too recent, so they can add more games to replace it further down the line. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door remake, Endless Ocean Luminous, whatever else released in 2024, Amio the Smiling Man. I wouldn't be opposed to that, actually. That is a great soundtrack. Kind of a strange way to end the month, but I'd say it was pretty packed. We got a lot of soundtracks in there. It's good. The end. Now, before I make my speedy exit, I want to give some of my predictions, as fruitless as they may be, on what's going to happen next with this app. Kirby's Adventure on NES. It's got to happen eventually. Although they did just add Zelda 2, and Zelda 2's a pretty big soundtrack for the NES, but so is Kirby's Adventure. But also, there's not that many game soundtracks left on the NES that are, like, big, so give or take 2 years? Less of a prediction, more of a beg. Nintendo DS and GameCube. God, they are suffering. They've got nothing for so long, and the current soundtrack selection is less than desirable, so please give them something, anything. They are on life support. They need it. In terms of what I need, come on, Nintendo Land. That's the most obvious choice. You get all these Nintendo franchises in a big old game, in a big old soundtrack that isn't Super Smash Bros. It's the next best possible option. I predict a year and a half, March is looking really good. Let me know in the discussion place what you think is gonna happen. So thanks for listening. I know I've been kind of radio silent as of recently. No thanks to the government. I shouldn't have said that. But, you know, let me know in the discussion place if you want to see me talk about next month's awesome music selection, because I hope it is awesome, because I do like this app. Again, with like 10 asterisks. It's got some problems. Oh, okay, I gotta go. Okay, we're leaving.